Remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, FBI Director Kash Patel has just lied. That exchange took place during a House Judiciary Committee hearing a little over a week ago. So what did he say that wasn't true exactly? Well, according to a new report, Patel and others at the FBI wanted to release a statement explaining why they were dropping the Epstein matter, according to administration officials, and repeatedly pushed White House officials to release it over the long July 4th weekend. DOJ officials joined the discussions. Patel discussed it with Trump, who approved a plan to release the statement. That was the now infamous statement that claimed that the Justice Department had not found an incriminating client list. So thanks to this Wall Street Journal article, we've learned more about the Trump administration's disastrous handling of the Epstein saga. We've also gained new insight into why Trump is so desperate to keep anyone from talking about this story. So the reporting says that Trump has told aides he was worried some of his friends might be mentioned in the files. Trump told aides he couldn't understand why people were so obsessed with the deceased financier and sex offender, according to people familiar with his comments. People don't understand that Palm Beach in the 90s was just a different time. So Attorney General Pam Bondi kicked off the Trump administration's long series of mistakes by claiming that she had the Epstein client list on her desk. So officials in the West Wing were flummoxed. What document was Bondi talking about? And then shortly after Bondi's announcement, a team at the Bureau pulled an all-nighter to assemble some Epstein materials into thick binders stamped with the Justice Department seal and titled the Epstein Files Phase 1, implying there was more phases to come. FBI officials said the Justice Department had asked the FBI to assemble the binders, but didn't say what they would be used for. As we now know, the Trump administration invited conservative influencers to the White House, you all remember that, to commemorate phase 1 of the Epstein files. So the Justice Department officials gave Trump's top communications aides only a few minutes notice that she would distribute them to the group. They did not know she planned to talk about Epstein during the meeting. But the catch was that most of the information in the files was already publicly available. And afterwards, Bondi was told by the top White House officials that she should be taking attention away from the issue, not drawing attention to it. But ever since, the Trump administration has been just consumed by personal vendettas. So Bondi complained to other officials that FBI leadership was trying to destroy her by leaking information about internal discord, according to people familiar with the disputes. And FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, who had long questioned if Epstein really did kill himself prior to joining the administration, was also very unhappy with all of this. Bongino threatened to quit even, telling White House officials he was losing his credibility among conservatives. And I feel like that's kind of hard to do. And now the Trump administration faces a reckoning. It seems that Congress has the votes to force the release of the Epstein files, and that's after the election that just happened, the special election that just happened in Arizona. And despite all of the administration's best efforts to stop the release, they now have the votes to force the vote in the House. So top White House officials told Republican lawmakers in late August and early September that voting to release the Epstein files would be viewed as an unfriendly move, and they wouldn't forget those who did, according to 2 officials on Capitol Hill with knowledge of the calls. So that's a lot. That was a lot there, but it was really quite an extensive article from the Wall Street Journal that just came out. And one of the big takeaways from that story was that Trump was like, yeah, it was the 90s, it was Palm Beach, things were different back then. Whatever that even means, right? What does that mean? Just like the party scene was different, or like the human trafficking scene was different? Like, what does he mean when he says that? And also, like, yeah, it was different, but back then, if you're at a party with somebody, you can't fathom a world where 30 years in the future, when you're the president of the United States, all of this is going to come back to haunt you. And in the article, it became very clear. I believe it was July of this year. Trump was all over while he was in Florida, making all these phone calls saying, you know what? Why are these people so obsessed with the Epstein files? Why will this not go away? How do we get it to go away? And he was taking advice and suggestions from everyone. And I guess none of it stuck, because we are still here today in September, nearly October, still talking about these Epstein files and why we do not have them. So he tried all kinds of things. He has been throwing everything, seeing whatever sticks on the wall, so that the American people will just move on from all of this and forget about it and just talk about something else. But it hasn't happened. And the part that stuck out to me, the fact that he can't seem to understand why this story won't go away. All it says is that he's so used to lying to the American people, but more specifically to his MAGA base, right? He went on the campaign trail in 2024 saying he was going to release the Epstein files. That's what he told them, and they believed him. He had no intention of ever releasing those files, but he just told them that anyway. And he figured that once he got into office, they would either forget about that promise that he made to them, or they would just move on. And because he told them to, basically, he would say, stop talking about it, move on, and then they would. None of that has happened. They have tried everything to distract the American people. It always keeps coming back to the Epstein files. And my theory on that is that without the Epstein files, without that one issue, that human sex trafficking issue, the MAGA QAnon base doesn't have its central focus to rally around anymore. So my theory is that if these people give up on the Epstein files, they also kind of give up on Trump, and that whole movement will collapse. And so Trump doesn't really have an out here. That's my theory. Jackson, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on all this?
I just think it's hilarious how transparent this whole saga is with the Trump Epstein files. It's like he desperately does not want us to see what's in them. Just like when your side piece won't stop texting you. You know what I'm saying? You tell her, don't text me after 5 p.m. because I'll be at home. And then your girl let me see your phone. And you're like, no, no, you can't see my phone because I'm being totally honest with you. I mean, it's the same concept. It's like, if there's nothing to see, why can't we see it? Why are you putting in so much effort? Why are you spending so much political capital on all of your minions to just block this vote the best that you can? And again, this is a man who, think about being in your 40s. Being in your 40s and owning a teenage modeling pageant agency or whatever that is. And apparently that's where Jeffrey Epstein learned a lot of his trafficking methods. And Donald Trump was in that business with some other type of pervert who was known for that. All the comments that he's made against his own daughter. Come on, Donald Trump is not smart enough to cover his tracks in anything. This is a man who used to call the tabloids and be like, oh yeah, the girls are totally into Donald Trump. Everybody wants to sleep with Donald Trump. And it's like, bro, this sounds just like you. No, that's not me. But yeah, it's so transparent. Trump can't escape it. We saw the love letter that you wrote to Jeffrey Epstein with the silhouette. You caught red-handed, man. There's nothing you can do.
Problem is he's gotten away with it, right? So you're both right, in my view, that he figured, while he had no intention of releasing the files because he's in them, that he could just be the conductor, or like this Wizard of Oz and or puppeteer, maybe, pulling strings. And for the most part, people have followed him. He said wildly outlandish things, stop the steal, all kinds of things surrounding criminality. He makes it up as he goes along, and it does usually work. So I don't blame this devilish character for continuing this same old blueprint. I just hope that your theory's right, Yaz, that this Epstein thing is so important, and it should be important. It should be important to everyone, okay? The victims, the survivors, they are speaking, they are with us. They have been through just disgusting trauma. And yet he's still kind of getting away with it. And you have men who claim to be so Christian, Mike Johnson, going to church on Sunday. He wouldn't sit next to me. Okay, nor would he be taking communion. And I don't really go to church, but I'm just telling you, if I did, is anyone going to speak out here? It's disgusting. But hey, this is what we're doing, and he's going to continue, and Pam's going to continue. Be a lot easier to just keep up with the truth, unless the truth is really scary for you, and it's scary for him.
Yeah. I do want, before we break for the bonus episode, there was one comment that I started reading during the break that I didn't get to finish, and I would like to finish it real quick. It's from Mr. Kitty over on at tyt.com. Said, "I'm loving this panel. You guys are great. Thank you very much. Hey, Jackson." Jackson gets a special shout out. Also, hey, what are your guys' thoughts on the Virginia governor race? So I haven't really been following that race too much myself. I know that Youngkin cannot he's not running again, but I do know that Virginia could kind of go either way. Youngkin won as a Republican, but I remember that was a little bit of an upset at the time. And also, it's that things are not going well. They're closing hospitals in Virginia because of Republican policies. And I can't imagine that would go over very well for them. I would hope, but you hope that people are able to hang on to things for like the next few months. Just remember all these things that are happening. And then you can say, you know what, this is not going the way I want it to. Maybe I'll flip back to the other candidate. So
every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.